Hello everyone, welcome back to Dieu Magique. Today is the 90th day of my 100-day Economist challenge. Before we start, I have good news for you. I have found out a new way to use my microphone. So please let me know how my volume sounds to you. Because I've tried 4 different kinds of microphones already. There has to be one which is good. Okay, also, today's article is going to be an ultimate easy article, and because there is basically no background information required to understand the whole thing, and you could get my notes, summary, and audio files by scanning this QR code, and this is how I use my highlighters. And let's get started. Graduate unemployment. Spring freeze. In today's article, or actually in today's video, I'm basically just going to talk about linguistic aspect. For example, how this word is used, the meaning of it, etc. Millions of students brace for joblessness. The government is anxious too. Brace for literally means prepare for, and we've seen another synonym which is steal for. It is often used in jest by university students as final exams loom. Jest means joke, and you could also use the word banter if you're looking for a less formal way to replace this word. But for the 9 million or so due to graduate in June, 9 million or so, around 9 million, or you could say 9 million odd. As China limps back to work, limps right here, it doesn't mean literally disabled or just walk with a limp. It's literally like because it is used with adverbial of direction, so basically it's proceed with difficulty. Next one. Their job prospects are truly bleak. Quote from a letter, it should be bleak and wailing like a lost child. So I saw this word first in that letter, and here it literally means dark, or in a state of despondency, is the contrary of hopeful. And then, as prospective employers, more layoffs or hiring freezes. So you often see words as such as mull over, but here, even if there's not the word over, it still means to think about. As come on. Okay, it's back. As it surveys, so when survey is used as a verb, it is pronounced survey. The stress is on the second syllable, but when it is used as a noun, it is survey. As it surveys an economy ravaged by the disease. So here, survey doesn't mean to do like a research. It literally means to look at or to look over, because the subject is the leadership. Ravaged by, damaged, destroyed, or wrecked by. The green parts, the dark green parts, are useful words and expressions which might be of help when we do the summary. But official figures mask the scale of the problem. Literally, they are trying to sugarcoat this whole situation, or how severe the whole situation really is. And that does not include the tens of millions of migrants who sat out the epidemic in their ancestral villages. So you don't have to say hometown, you could just say ancestral villages. Set out, it could mean to refrain from doing something. For example, I sat out the whole dance. China's leaders describe the problem of graduate unemployment as a matter of paramount importance. You could also say prime importance or supreme importance. You could think about the word supreme as if in the logo of that quite fashionable brand. But the party frets more about threats involving better educated people with urban roots and strong social networks. So frets more about means to worry about. Here, better educated people with urban roots and strong social networks. the author would explain this at a later stage of this article. Last year, just over half of entrance does not only mean people who enter a kind of place. Here it means new members coming afterwards. I covered this part up because it might be sensitive, so just to make sure my video won't get banned, I just masked it. But we could still get this expression. The situation for this year's graduates was grim. You could say the outlook was grim. And then similar words such as gloomy, or as we just saw, we have bleak. I put more synonyms around here. Unpromising, unfavorable. All these you could use to replace the... You see grim right here? Grim, dark, miserable, dark, all these works. And then ravaged, you could also use the word devastated. I forgot to mention this word just now, but it doesn't matter. Then we have... Companies normally begin scouring campuses for recruits soon after the Spring Festival holiday. Scouring literally means you search over a whole place with lots and lots of care. So you could say comb the campuses. And then another big hiring round. So this is for you guys to know. If you want to describe how job recruitment in China works, you could just say, for example, to your IELTS examiner that we have 2 big rounds of hiring each year. One takes place after Spring Festival holiday, and another takes place in the autumn. The entire process was wiped out, cancelled, or just got, put off. Some employers have gone digital using video interviews and online tests, but many, reeling from the impact of work stoppages and still tepid consumer demand, have cut hiring. We have seen reeling for 3 times. The first time we saw it, we have sent reeling. Literally, it means shaken by. For example, the stock market has been sent reeling by the price war instigated by Saudi Arabia against Russia. This article was the World This Week Business a few weeks ago. So if you're interested, just go back and have a look. And then with less competition, firms that are still hiring can pick the best and brightest, but they are also likely to plump for old hands rather than trainees. So plump for, opt for, go for, choose. Old hands, veteran, for example, people who got laid off or furloughed thanks to COVID-19, rather than trainees. A lot of companies have trainee programs. It's like an apprenticeship, but it's as if you are so you guys, the trainee system in South Korea. Literally, you go there to be a trainee, and after a certain amount of time, you would be able to take up the job on your own. Next page. Sorry. Maybe I need to zoom this in. My computer is not behaving well today. Okay. Again, so here I heard some people tend to say it as prestigious, but actually it's prestigious positions. Maybe it's not you, it's just sometimes I heard people pronounce it like that. And now it is cutthroat. Cutthroat is fierce. You could say a cutthroat world of fashion. And then one job she had attracted 3,000 hopefuls. Here, the word hopeful is not an adjective, it is a noun, means people who are wishing something to happen, who hope something would happen. At least the epidemic has helpfully weeded out weak or dodgy companies, weed out, separate from. For example, I put it down here. Here, a good agency will weed out those unsuitable candidates, isolate, separate out, set apart, put to one side. And then we have next sentence, and this is quite interesting because in a survey by China News Daily, an official newspaper, more than 60% of respondents said COVID-19 had steered them towards more stable work. Steer someone towards, or you could say steer someone away from. You could say steer clear of, to say avoid. Here, it literally means the COVID-19 has encouraged more respondents to choose stable jobs, i.e. jobs have links with the government, or links to the government. I heard this kind of opinion from my friends as well. He chose to be a teacher, I think. I have no idea what he's doing right now, but I heard him saying he was about to start his own business, but this whole COVID-19 has damaged his plan, ravaged his plan. Officials are trying to satisfy such demand. They have promised more openings in the civil service. So if you're a civil worker, that means you work for the government, or you work for big state-owned companies, as well as in the army. They have directed state-owned businesses to boost their recruitment of new graduates. Boost recruitment, or you could say boost economy, or prop up the economy, bolster the economy, or buoy up the economy. We've seen synonyms for this too many times. Sinopec. Pay attention to the difference between Sinopec and CNPC and CNOOC. So if you are preparing for any kind of translation exams, try to look them up because it might be helpful. And here, 6,600 odd, which means also around at that kind of range. Until recently, job hunting involving intercity travel was hindered by quarantine-related restrictions. You could also say quarantine-related restrictions are eased. For example, you have here, or lifted. We've seen similar expressions in jogging in Paris, as well as the two articles about Wuhan. Hassles remain. Hassles, you could understand it as inconvenience or nuisance, a source of annoying feelings. Students did not have to search for jobs until the 1990s, which is quite surprising. I thought the time could be a bit more earlier than this. Chengdu, the southwestern city where the firm is headquartered, has offered to recommend graduates for its job openings. So these are examples of what local governments are trying to do to bolster or to boost graduate employment rate. And then many governments are also rewarding firms that hire graduates. In Shanghai, the district of Pudong is offering them subsidies and reduced social security payments worth up to 2,000 yuan for each local graduate they take on. For example, you could say, I will take this person on. Just to replace, I'm going to hire this person. You could say, I'm officially on board, or we've taken this person on board. As the COVID crisis subsides means abate, going down, become less serious in China. Social tensions are becoming more evident. We're not going to talk about this part because it's related to Hong Kong, and basically, the idea of this article is that unemployment rate would stoke anxious feelings among the youth, and once they are educated, they have more power to make their voice heard. And then they also worry that it could start a whole new round of social chaos. Graduating at a time of such economic hardship. Again, we see hardship. I think we have seen this word more than 5 times already. You could say financial hardship, economic hardship, hard up families suffering from hard up, all this kind of stuff, more than just a temporary setback. So it's actually more than a temporary trouble, snag, difficulty, as you want. You could replace the word setback with loads of other synonyms. That is because many will go into a different line of work from the one they had hoped to pursue, and for lower pay. Because this professor, Li Jin, worries that this whole COVID-19 could have a lifelong impact on personal earnings. Their disappointment will be far greater this year and may last well beyond it. So to summarize this whole article, the rocketing unemployment, the rocketing graduate unemployment rate could be solved by the leadership who is actually worrying about social stability, as mentioned down here, social stability. Meanwhile, the party worries more about threats involving better educated people with urban roots and strong social networks, because these are the same group of people who have started the manifestation, as have seen in Hong Kong and Guangzhou. Then the government is taking actions to boost recruitment. For example, they have encouraged state-owned companies, for example, like Sinopec right here, and they have promised more openings in the civil service as well as in the army. To sum up, the COVID-19 will have a lifelong impact on individual earnings, and the disappointments of recent graduates could be far greater this year and may last well beyond it. I think that's the end for today's lesson, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And don't forget to tell me how the volume sound today, okay? And I'll see you guys after the weekend. Bye!